Alrighty, YouTube, it's your boy Zxous, and we're back with another Goddess of Victory Nikke video. And in today's video, we're going to be going over the September MISSILIS tier list. Yesterday, we did the one for Tetra. So this is just something new on the channel, not new in general, but like throughout September. Well, I guess these couple of days, we're going to be doing a tier list explaining, obviously, all the characters in their manufacturing tier list, right? And then from October, November, December, and so on, they're all going to be in one video at the start of the month, right? This is just making it very easy for you guys to understand more. And this is, again, based on their class, right? So this one is, again, the MISSILIS one. Yeah, so, and also, I guess for this $sign here, this just means invested. I have to say at the beginning as well. So, yeah, I did the Tetra one yesterday. If you want to go watch that, go ahead and watch that. I'll probably leave the link in the description or the comments. But, yeah, let's start. So, Litter is easily an SS character. She is one of the best characters in the game. She has cooldown reduction, a massive attack buff on her burst skill. It is only for 5 seconds, but it's a massive attack buff on her burst skill. And she actually does cover or rebuild cover, or I don't want to say rebuild, but she heals cover by a big percent, right? Even at low investments. I think at level 10, it's 52% of the cover for 2 allies with the lowest HP, where at level 1 it's 28%, and then on like level 5 it's like 30-40%, somewhere around there. So very good character. She also does give extra effects depending on how much times you use her burst skill to all allies. So first time ammo capacity increase, second time crit damage increase, and third time attack increase. And remember, this all stacks depending on how much times you use it. So if you use it 2 times, you get the ammo capacity and the crit damage. If you use it 3 times, you get all the effects. And that thing goes for the same for the cooldown reduction, right? Obviously, you gain that the more time you enter a full burst, so you don't even have to use her burst skill to get cooldown reduction, which is nice. And then again, 66% to all allies every 20 seconds is quite good. So there's no question Litter is an SS character. Now Senti is another very good character, one of the best defenders in the game, because she has a spammable shield that nullifies attacks when broken, which is perfect for a lot of context, especially bosses, because if bosses have a nuking skill and the shield is up, literally instead of the boss nuking you, it just nukes the shield, right? And that protects all allies. So that's a very good effect there. Not to mention, Senti has great burst generation and also does lower defense to 5 enemies with the lowest HP, I believe. It was HP or defense? Let me see. With the lowest HP, right? So there's that, right? But the shield is really what makes Senti top tier. Now Maxwell invested is very good because she is one of the best boss killers invested. She also is a supporter as well, or not a supporter as well, but has support mechanics like a massive attack buff to 2 allies with the highest attack. Where is she? Where is Maxwell? Right, as you guys can see here. And she also gives charge speed, right? She does give crit rate and crit damage as well to herself, but it's only when there's 5 enemies. There's more than 5 enemies essentially, so there's that. But what really makes her shine is her burst skill with her first skill, right? That's a big attack buff and charge speed to herself if she is one of the 2 allies with the highest attack, and then a massive insane charge damage, right? Full charge damage 300%, you gain the pierce effect, and 813% of final attack. So that's buffed attack, overload gear attack, and all that stuff. So with investments, overload gear makes her so much stronger. Level 10 stats or level 10 skills make her so much stronger, and literally dupes will make her so much stronger, right? Anything that can benefit to that burst skill will make her a lot stronger. And then in the S version, in S we have Maxwell there again. This is the non-invested version, and I think she's still very good. Even if you're not using her as a boss killer, I think her support towards the attackers is still pretty nice. The charge speed is going to be nice for characters, and the attack is just very nice for a lot of characters, right? She does do nice damage as well, even non-invested, but I think if you're going to use her for the main purpose of boss killing, you want an invested version. Now, Guilty is one of the best, actually the best burst 2 DPS in the game, and that's only because she duplicates the attack of the highest attacker in her team, right? And that just makes her nasty. Essentially, kind of like Dorothy's skill, where she is just taking the attack and then re-putting it out. It's kind of like that, but it's more of like a hand-me-down version, if that makes sense. But yeah, because Guilty just takes the attack of the ally with the highest attack and gives it to herself, which makes her hit very hard. Is literally the only reason why she's in S. And she's a free character as well, so there's that. Drake is one of the best sub DPSs in the game. I wouldn't say Drake is a main DPS, but she's a very, very good when it comes to the shotgun comp and just general sub or secondary burst 3 DPS, right? There's no question Drake is one of the best characters for that. So S tier character for sure. Pepper, one of the best healers in the game. Her heals are pretty nice. I do believe like she does end up healing actually on her burst skill when she's fully stacked up on her refresh heart. Yeah, so she does actually heal on her burst skill when fully stacked up on refresh heart, but it's not bad because her stacks of refresh heart actually goes to all allies, and that's healing potency or HP potency, which is increased healing. So that's going to be very good for obviously Pepper herself and any other healer on the team that can help you. So if you're running Pepper with Rapunzel, fantastic, right? This might be a very good character for A2 as well if you're pairing her up with Rapunzel, right? 2 burst 1 units, you got your burst 2 and then 2 burst 3 units if that's a comp you want to run. This is going to be very good. But yeah, easily one of the best healers in the game. She can do damage as well. It's not a final attack, it's regular attack, so it's not going to be that crazy. And she does also increase the stack 2 buff by 1 for all allies, so that's going to be very good as well. And then Adme is a fantastic character. Adme increases reload speed, crit damage, and charge speed, I believe, which is quite insane for like one character to do all of that, right? Yeah, charge damage, crit damage, reload speed, and charge damage, right? And then also has damage reduction for 2 allies with the highest attack every 20 seconds, which lasts for 10 seconds. Very fantastic burst 2 support. Not many people use her actually, which is something like maybe early on a lot of people used her, but I feel like ever since they dropped the bunny girls, a lot of people don't really use her as much. She's definitely still one of the main picks for the reload speed team, but it really depends on who you want to use. So there's that. In A tier we have Laplace. I feel like Laplace is a good DPS, even though Laplace is my favorite character in the game. I think she's a good DPS. I think you're only realistically going to be using her if you're fighting a boss though. You can use her in general content for I guess her normal attacks, but her main use is really just her burst skill where she has the infinite pierce, ray gun, Kamehameha type ability, just shreds bosses HP, right? But besides that, that's all she really has going for her. Damage is okay, nothing too crazy, but her burst skill is where she shines. Now Jackal's a great defensive support, really shines in PvP mainly. Could work in PvE, but people don't really use her in PvE, right? Obviously she increases damage taken to enemies that when she's attacked 10 times and lowers their attack as well. She has shared damage to herself and to allies with the highest attack when the battle starts, and increases their defense. But when she uses her burst skill, what's it called? Burst skill damage of skill which affects the enemy within the description. I guess the damage just increases, right? So very, very good for all allies, right? She's just buffing up damage insanely for literally any ally that has in their burst skill description affects enemy. So any ally that does damage on their burst skill, she's just increasing their damage number even more for 15 seconds, which is quite crazy, especially with someone like Modernia, right? Well, does Modernia say affects all enemy, or does it just say she go? Let me check. Yeah, no, Modernia doesn't say affects all enemies. It just says all enemies will be recognized as a single enemy. So there's that. Anne is a good character. I feel like Anne is just a knockoff version of Rapunzel, realistically, right? Like she gives a massive attack buff though to attackers, but the problem is she's on a 60-second cooldown, so it's just not worth it because litter at level 10 is only 17% under her. And liters is, or I guess liters is spammable as well, right? She does revive, of course, and also increase or heal them, but every 60 seconds, not really that useful in my opinion. It's good, but just 60 seconds is too long, right? And then she does also increase HP potency to all allies when her HP is above 90%, which is going to be very good. And then she does also recover as well to all support allies. So she's a bit iffy in my opinion. She could work here and there, but mainly uses PvP. Quincy's a pretty good healer. Pretty decent actually, right? So she does duplicate the HP of the ally with the highest HP to herself, making her, I guess you could say, guaranteed not die first, right? Not to mention she's actually increasing max HP even more and her crit damage, and then also an attack buff. So she's not really healing, I guess. Technically she is, like this is technically a heal, but it's not. So it increases their max HP, but it also heals them because their max HP is getting increased and the HP is getting increased with the max HP. So she has her uses. Her real main focus is the max HP and the attack buff every 8 seconds. I guess you could say every other 3 seconds, which is nice. But besides that, nothing really going for her, right? So there's that. And then we have Sin. I need to actually pull up Sin's kit again because I forgot what she does. So she duplicates HP of the ally with the highest HP as well. And she does also taunt enemy. She has burst gauge loading speed increased by 16.17% for 5 seconds at the end of a full burst, which could be useful. I mean, not really anything to jump about. It's nothing too crazy in my opinion, but there's that. But of course, the amount of times I guess the full burst ends, you'll be getting these effects here, right? So recover a certain percentage of HP of attack damage lasts for 5 seconds. 5 seconds, 51% HP potency is pretty nice, but I guess it does stack, but it's only for 5 seconds, so that's a bit iffy. And then a big defense buff for 5 seconds. So maybe if these were longer than 5 seconds, it'd be a lot better. But besides that, nothing too crazy in my opinion. Then she has damage they can increase to the enemies. But I mean, for 5 seconds and only 12%, not that crazy when Blanc is a thing in my opinion. So yeah, Uni is not even that crazy as well. She has charge speed increase, and then she also immobilizes the targets for 5 seconds within range. But realistically, Uni is not doing much. I guess her charge speed is her best feat because you just guarantee get it for a full burst, right? That's gonna help out a lot of characters. But besides that, not really doing much. I mean, she heals as well, gives defense, but the numbers are just very, very low. So not much going for her. And then Ipeno's okay as a DPS. The only problem with her for me is that she has to kill enemies to get her attack buff. So she gains attack that stacks up to 5 times when she kills an enemy, which is like she has to specifically kill them. Okay, her burst skill is pretty okay, I guess. I mean, not really because it's of attack, so her attack buff is not actually affecting her burst skill, right? She's getting an attack buff, but that doesn't apply to her burst skill because it's of attack as damage, not final attack as damage. So when it says attack, this is just equipment attack stats and then base attack stats. So she's not really doing damage. Her crit damage and crit rate buff is okay as well, but it's very low percentages. Realistically, Ipeno's a D tier character, but in tower she has her uses. Crow, unfortunately, just does nothing. She's a defender DPS, so she has nothing going for her, right? She deals 915% of final attack as damage, but the problem is she's a defender, so you have to give her a lot of attack buff for that to be useful, and then again, it's still to only one enemy, so quite useless, right? Decreasing the attack of all enemies when entering a full burst, okay, right? I guess that's fine. By 19% for 10 seconds, it's okay, but it's like, I guess enemies just have way too much attack at this point where it's just useless. And then she deals damage and increases defense to herself, but again, it's quite useless because she's an SMG defender, so not much you can do there. And then Julia, I really don't find Julia to be that cool. It's really for the simple fact that she increases her crit rate every other 10 seconds after the first after the first 20 seconds, and then she does actually stack up on crit damage, but it's still not doing much, right? Like, to increase your crit rate and your crit damage for your burst skill is like not really that crazy, right? Especially if she doesn't crit, right? Remember, if she doesn't crit on her burst skill, because besides that, it's just her normal attack, and her being a what? I think she's an AR, right? 14% is okay, but like she's not doing enough damage. She has to crit to get her damage, and if she doesn't crit, it's just a waste of the first 2 skills, right? If she increases crit rate and she doesn't crit, then your crit damage is useless. Your crit rate is useless. So that's 2 skills that are just guaranteed useless when she's not critting. Literally, that's just the facts. And then her burst skill, it is a final attack, and it does double when she's fully stacked, but it's like she's not increasing attack. So final attack for her, essentially, unless you have buffers, are really just unless you have buffers who are like buffing up her attack, it's just really useless with this character. Her kit design is just weird, right? It's just full crit rate support for herself, and like crit support for just herself. Maybe if this was for everybody, this would be so much better. But since it's for herself and she's just not performing in damage, I feel like she's just useless in the game. So these are my D tier characters. These are my C tier characters. I think this is actually a nice tier list. I think most people will probably agree with this. Maybe might disagree with 1 or 2 placements, but I think most people should agree with this, right? I think we can all agree that 1, MISSILIS has only a few good characters, and 2, they get no love in terms of new characters, right? If you actually look here, the only new characters that they got that were summonable was Laplace, Jacko, and Anne, and then they got 3 free-to-play characters, but besides that, that's it. Jacko came on like February, and we haven't had a new MISSILIS character since. So you guys let me know what you think. It's your boy Zxous. I'll see you guys next time. I'm out. Peace.